Steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. In-class presentation by Marlon. In this world, we aren't really taught how to work on our spiritual health, and being emotionally immature caused me a lot of pain. I've used just about every drug you can think of to try and fill a void inside of me where I just didn't feel right. I wasn't happy. I was focused on the negativity, and I hated my life. Thankfully, I ended up in a very good rehab, the Beacon House. I have done the steps and had the honor and privilege to sponsor two other fellow military veterans through the steps. This program can benefit anyone that experiences resentments, not just drug addicts and alcoholics. This is a method of developing the power to redirect your thoughts to what you can control. This program taught me how to be a loving man of character. The 12 steps are more than just a way to stay sober. They provide the tools for living a full, satisfying, and meaningful life as a whole human being. Step 1. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. Alcohol can mean anything that brings you an unhealthy temporary solution to your emotional immaturity. It can be any bad habit that eventually causes you or the people you love suffering or pain. Acceptance is the spiritual principle behind this step, and it's the only step you need to do 100%. Admitting that you have a problem. You got issues. The way you think and operate could use some work. The Big Book of AA says that this is a disease of bad thinking. It is cunning, baffling, and powerful. You have to quit thinking that you can control this. Stop lying to yourself. You need help. Let go and follow these directions. Your way of doing things is low-key insanity because you keep doing it thinking it's going to get better. 2. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Step 2 is hope. It's usually acquired by listening to other people's stories and believing that if this program worked for them, then maybe it can work for you as well. That in itself is enough to get you started in this step. AA is a spiritual program of action, not a religion. You can believe whatever conception you want of a higher power. For me, it's the spirit of the universe. It's an energy that has guided evolution to where we are today. I feel it the most when I see people being 100% selfless to help others. For example, like when you hear about that firefighter that ran into a burning building to save some children that were trapped. Knowing they might not make it out themselves, they somehow pull it off and reunite a mother with her children. It's beautiful. That's my conception of a higher power, and I choose to call that God because it's simpler to say. You just have to trust that a power exists that wants you to be better. That's it. However you want to describe it or understand it, it's your decision. 3. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understand it. Faith. This is the step where you consciously take a mental stand against your dysfunctions and say, okay, I'm going to do this with the help of my higher power. I'm going to surrender doing things my way and follow the directions of my support group. Trust. Step 4. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Courage. It's the ability to walk through fear. In this step, you will write it all out by hand on paper. Your sponsor provides you with clear directions and a format to follow. You write about your childhood experience, all of the resentments, the pain, the fear, the ways that people failed to love you. There's columns where you list what happened, how did it make you feel, and then you write about your adolescence and adulthood, those resentments, and what part you played to create those situations. Many of us focus on, they did this to me. But was there something you could have done better? You write about all the people and institutions that you wronged. Writing your fourth step is difficult, but trust me when I say it's totally worth it. Step 5. Admit it to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Honesty. You read your fourth step moral inventory to your sponsor. Your sponsor helps you see things more clearly by identifying certain patterns and behaviors. You accept that the people that raised you did the absolute best that they could based on the spiritual health that they had at the time. Break the cycle. Be better. Recognize the defense mechanisms you developed as a child are now deeply rooted in your dysfunctions. Your sponsor shares things about themselves that are just as embarrassing as your things, if not the same. And you laugh about it or cry. It happens. This is a very unique bonding experience. I've seen it from both ends. It gets real. But you get to finally let it all out. No more lying to yourself about it. That stuff happened, and it wasn't cool. There's some things that you need to work on now. Do not continue to hurt people just because someone hurt you. Step 6. We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. Step 7. Humbly ask Him to remove our shortcomings. Willingness and humility. In step 6 and 7, you make a list of your character defects that you discovered in the previous two steps. It's obvious now what they are. You had to put your ego to the side. It was hard for me to admit that I was a selfish, self centered, manipulative liar that used self pity and depression to justify my destructive behaviors towards myself and those I apparently cared for. Take a mental stand against all the shit you've been carrying your entire life. You are now going to let it go and do your absolute best to no longer operate from those resentments. Stop being childish, grow up, stop blaming others, take responsibility. When my resentment based thinking tries to enter my headspace, I'm like, no, stop. I redirect my thinking to how can I contribute positivity and love and a proper solution for all parties involved to any situation, whatever it may be. Step 8. Made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Responsibility. You make this list based on your fourth and fifth step with the help of your sponsor. In my experience, the people you make amends to are immediate family and close friends that you want to keep. Fifth step continued. After you've made your list, you get to destroy your fourth step self moral inventory in a bonfire setting with your sponsor at the beach or somewhere nice, usually at night. You burn the pages and give it to your higher power to take from you. It's pretty cool to visualize your higher power reaching down and taking all that shit from you, like a loving parent would if they could. The idea is you've processed those resentments, so it's now time to turn it over to your higher power and let it go. Step 9. Make direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. Love, it's an action word. It's something we show people through our actions. We failed at this many times. Now we get to clean up our side of the street. We can't undo the past, but we can start now to do things right. Justice through self-amendments of behavior. Like the Constitution, these amendments are now set in stone. This is not just an apology. When you make an amends, you let the person know your new clear understanding of how you hurt them, and you promise to try your absolute best to never again hurt them like you have before. And you continue to work on yourself so you can keep doing good from this point forward. And you do whatever you can to settle any resentments they might have against you. An example would be paying back money borrowed, or at the very least, you make indirect amends by not continuing these behaviors in general. This step really solidifies your recovery. It's harder to continue operating from your character defects and resentments after you've pretty much asked for another chance. Don't disappoint them again. Step 10. Continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. The spiritual principle here is discipline. Just because you did all the other steps doesn't mean you won't be operating from your character defects anymore. This process takes time. In step 10, you check yourself daily and take personal inventory, often taking notes on things that happen throughout the day. Are you experiencing emotional disturbances? How are you handling these disturbances when they arise? Are you being accountable to a person that is spiritually fit whenever possible before making major decisions? Are we setting and respecting boundaries? What are your true intentions behind your behavior? In step 10, you're keeping score with yourself, trying every day to be better than we were yesterday. Step 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. Awareness. Continue to work on our mental and spiritual condition. We are never cured. It only takes a moment to relapse into our old ways. All we have is one moment at a time. This conscious contact with God is your ability to take those mental stands when the resentments start to arise within you. You stop them through a conscious effort. His will for us and the power to carry that out is what you're going to focus on instead. It's this relationship that you focus on strengthening daily. We strive for improvement, not perfection. Consider how you can become a more loving and caring human being. Step 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Service. Congratulations, you have now been rocketed into the fourth dimension of existence. All of a sudden you become awesome and people recognize it and your life gets super cool. We call it the promises. But now you have to do step 2 in reverse by being of service to others. It turns out that the real secret to staying sober slash spiritually fit is to help another person stay sober slash spiritually fit. You do this by sharing your story. Your past becomes a tool for helping others and giving them hope. If you can be sober just for today, then maybe they can be sober just for today as well. And if you're really lucky, someone might ask you to be their sponsor. It's a cycle that's kept this program strong since 1935. It's practiced all over the world in several cultures and languages. Teaching this makes it a part of your character. These are the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. To conclude, you don't have to do the steps to work on your spiritual condition. There are other ways, like working on your mental health through psychology has helped me tremendously. As students, you all have access to the mental health center on campus. They have people you can talk to about your day-to-day life. I highly suggest you attend an AA meeting someday. Each one is uniquely cool. This is a lifelong journey. I just wanted to make you aware of the possibilities. There is nothing more powerful than conquering the inner workings of your mind. You don't have to live your life rooted in fear. Reprogram yourself. Become curious about you. Thanks for being a part of my recovery. The end.